It can be intimidating. Now, when we think about the idea of these notes being played out and the sound that is playing out for us, there's also, we can take it out further and we can see that if you think about your soul is a note, it's a set of divine qualities that are specially designed for you to express, but it's still a lesser note within a yet greater note. Because in this philosophy there's a principle called hylozoism. It's a kind of a strange word, hylozoism, which means that, I'll give you a simple definition. Every unit of life is a note within a larger unit of life, which is a larger, greater note, on and on and on and on, all the way up to the one life. And so, even though we say you have a higher note to express, that higher note is just one instrument within, you might say, a cosmic orchestra. A cosmic orchestra. So that's one of the things that you start to realize as you start to sense that higher part of you, that higher note, that higher quality, is you start to realize that you are a living unit within a vaster entity, and that the creative work you do in the world, that creative work is not you doing something. It's a larger living system. It's a larger note. It's a larger breath coming through you and not from you. So there's that sense of stepping away. It has been said that the magical process, which is the creative process, is a process of co-creation. To co-create, that it's not you that's doing it, it's that you are facilitating a greater sound working through you. So that's why there's an emphasis on more selflessness. If you're going to really live by that higher note, selflessness is the name of the game. Where the lower note, it prizes selfish action. I mean, if you want to know the difference between the higher and lower, and that's a good thing to consider within ourselves, is that the higher is governed by the principle of unity and oneness, and the lower is governed by the principle of separateness. And in fact, it not only recognizes separateness, but prizes its uniqueness. Prizes its uniqueness. These are some of the discernments that are important on the path. You know, it's really interesting. If you think about living your life and trying to evolve to your higher consciousness, what's one of the most important things to do is to ask yourself at any given moment, which one of me is speaking now? Which note am I playing out now? Instead of just saying, just going and doing, remember, we're dual. We're dual. We have a higher and a lower. Which voice are you listening to at any given moment? And that's not so easy, because sometimes they're muddled up. Sometimes they're entwined together. So what is the sound that really represents your higher nature? That's the question. And also think about this. It's not just the outer actions that represent vibration that have an effect, but inner actions too. Like, for instance, our thoughts. We're thinking, you're feeling. A thought is a thing, and it too has a vibration to it. And it too has a note or a quality associated with it. And even though you may not act on that thought, the very fact that you're thinking it has a vibrational effect in the mental plane. How's that note going? You know, we may outwardly look like we're doing very good things, but what's going on inside? What kind of subtler notes are being played in your mental body, in your emotional body? These are questions to be asked. It's really an important process as we think about the journey. One of the key skills that we are given to understand in the ancient philosophy is the skill of right discernment. To discern what part of me is expressing this. What part of me is speaking to me now? So I actually invite you to think about that. Think about that seriously. Because once you start to realize that you can discern that higher and lower, once you start to realize that by committing to the higher, eventually the resistance of the lower will give way. Then you start to realize that you can be a tremendous change agent on behalf of humanity's betterment, on behalf of goodness. Indeed, you become an agent of will, love, and intelligence, and the power that you have to change the world is remarkable. So, I ask you again, have you sounded your note? Like my friend asked me, have you sounded your note? And at least an effort at it is important. I see a lot of people, I counsel a lot of people, and a lot of people, there's a subtle fear of sounding the note. But I think there's a need to step out on a limb and try. Now it could be, it doesn't mean that if you sound your note it's necessarily going to take off. Your note might be, there may be needing to develop the skill to deliver it well. It might be that the note is very good, the sound that you want to bring out into the world is good, but the skill at delivery needs to be good, developed. So that's a possibility. It also can be that you come forth with your idea, your higher nature, and you find that the field itself, the environment, the population isn't ready yet for your note. That's a possibility too. I've known a lot of people with brilliant ideas that are really, really cutting-edge spiritual ideas, and yet it doesn't seem like humanity's quite ready for it. But nonetheless, you don't know that until you try, until you sound your note. And when you sound your note as a soul, and that personality, that lower note is blended with it, you end up having a harmonic chord running within you, and you have no opposition inside yourself. And when that happens, you start to feel that you are actually part of a larger symphony, the music of the spheres, the music of the solar system, and that you see yourself as a living, dynamic participant in a great creative drama that is cosmic in scope, and you have an enormously important role to play. And it's when that happens, you start to realize and sense the sonata of the master musician. And so, on that note, I will conclude. Thank you for coming. Thank you.